And good morning in progress. Okay, here we are. So we are also connecting with more people. So we have the hybrid event. We have people that follow us from their homes and offices. And my name is Caterina Fortun. I work in DG Klima, so Directorate General for Climate Action in the European Commission. And I'm responsible mainly for the Covenant of Mayors and the European Climate Pact. So that's also why I'm here, because we are going to talk about REPower today. And first, I would love to know where you come from, so where you work. So we will also have a question to the audience, online audience. So what type of organization do you represent? And I would also like to do a bit of popcorn here in the room. So can you share where do you come from? Who do you represent? Just open the mic. Not yet with Slido, so we... I got it. Oh, okay. Got it. Do I have to do, is it, no? Oh, okay. It's like what my children, I remember like they were on the computer and because they know just iPad, so they were also touching iPad. There's the keyboard. Okay, so where do you come from? Who do you represent here today? Lisbon. And what organization? Municipality.
Okay, Lisbon Municipality as well. I'm the Director General for Environment, Green Infrastructure, Climate and Energy. Tough job on the current days.
City of Lahti, Finland, Municipality, Mayor.
Federation, European Federation of Regions and Energy Agencies.
Alianza Alusari from the Covenant of Mayors Europe.
Georg Huben, DG Energy, Covenant of Mayors, contact point. Thank you.
So many contact points in the Commission. So look, Georg from ENER, we also have more people in the panel. I will not have time to go through all. So in the meantime, I'm waiting for a Slido. I don't know, does it work? Would I see who is online? If not, we can go ahead a bit with the room. Hello, I represent a university in Colombia and also an Erasmus Plus project focused on research and development and young people. Okay, so we have international audience. That's nice to inspire. I suggest, because of the time, that we go ahead, maybe good morning, APA for the Greens at the European Parliament. So it resonates with the REPower. Because of the time, I suggest that we go to the second question. So that's about feeling. So I invite the online audience and also us in the room to take a deep breath. We land and you may close your eyes. And I'm asking you, how do you feel when you hear the word REPowerEU? How do you feel, Adela?
I'm so tired.
Tired. I hear REPower. Oh my gosh. But that means that she's working hard, so you're safe. Anyone else in the room? Like, we can go beyond the first row. How do you feel? Yeah? Good.
Yeah, no, I feel Max from Climate Alliance. I feel like excited. I think things are speeding up. It's a crisis, and Europe is stepping in, and I think that's a good thing.
Thank you, Max. Anyone else from the room? How do you feel when you hear REPower? I'm a bit afraid of my 17 degrees at home, afraid of not having a hot shower every day, changing my behavioral attitudes. But I'm also excited, and I am also glad that we are actually doing this step, because I really like this image of being free from fossil fuels one day, hopefully very soon. Yes?
Oh, very good. Yeah, I think we all should feel challenged in a way. And I don't think REPowerEU is only about energy. It's about security, it's about democracy, it's about our European values, it's about maybe the clash of two philosophies, two worlds. So I think it's important to communicate well to the people, citizens. You said you are afraid of your 70 degrees and hot showers, and many citizens are afraid actually, and then approach mayors and people working in the regions. But we should communicate. This is not just about energy and energy shortage. We have a bigger and much more important picture. And we should, with a little bit of efforts, and I don't think we invest a lot of efforts yet, we can change the situation well for good and dramatically. So this is important.
Thank you, Julia. I will see, do we have any replies from Slido? Because I don't see anything on my screen. We go ahead. So indeed, to me, it's also in Klima, in DG Klima, in the Commission, we know that a lot is landing really with you, with cities, mayors, because you're at the front line, and 75% of the population live in cities, and that's where also most of the emissions are. And at the same time, we are aware that actually you are not in power of all the legislation. So we know that it's a lot about member states. So there is this challenge, how to do that. And we have these high energy prices. So we do imagine how to empower you, how to inspire you more, how to really encourage you to do more and to support you. And that's why we have the climate law signed by all member states to reduce and commit really with the legislation and regulation, the support to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions by 55% by 2030. And we are working on the Fit for 55. So it's a complex package of proposals, legislation, strategies. Actually, I've been the Commission for almost 15 years, and it's the first time that I really see that Directorate Generals are working together to really get this package or the whole legislation, the Green Deal, together. So it's happening. It's like the first time that I feel that it's really, the vision is implemented now in real material legislation, regulation, and hopefully implement it on the ground. And you are our allies to really implement it on the ground. And without more words, is it okay? Yeah, go ahead.
I would also say that it's also a matter of attitude of the EU. For the last years, the people who really believe in the EU, we were raising social awareness on the importance of the EU. And now, and also thanks to the recovery funds and together with REPowerEU, I believe that we can say that the EU is really close to the citizens, and they are really elaborating the regulation that it's going to help us to for our awareness, you know. So I believe it's also a matter of being close to the citizens, and you know, it was very criticized for the last during the last financial crisis in 2008, and because all the measures that they were being implemented, they weren't really helping people, the most vulnerable, and now I believe it is taking place.
Thank you very much, Virginia. Yeah. And now I pass the word to Adela. Adela Tesareva is the head of unit. In the unit, where do I have you, Adela? Oh, okay. Maybe you say the name of the head of the unit, but Adela, I will ask you already the first question. So what is REPower?
Okay. Thank you very much, Katarzyna. And good morning, everyone. So I represent the Directorate General for Energy. My unit is responsible for consumers and for just transition, and we are also the contact point for local and regional authorities through a number of local initiatives that we run, some of them together with DG Klima, such as the Covenant of Mayors. So what is REPowerEU? I think you all know, so it will be a repetition. I think we can summarize REPowerEU in three kind of strands. The first, the most important strand is to speed up the European Green Deal. accelerate our, increase our ambition on energy efficiency and renewables, and accelerate the deployment. So that's the most important pillar of the REPowerEU. And we are doing this, of course, to reduce dependence on Russian fossil fuels. The second pillar, which is more short term, it's to replace Russian fossil fuels with other alternative suppliers of fossil fuels. But that's why I said it's the short-term objective. And the more important is to phase out fossil fuels more broadly. And then the third element is demand reductions and energy savings, which apply to everyone. Thanks.
Thank you. It's clear. And I think it's always good to repeat that, because it's probably what we need to repeat when we will be in colder houses. So I would like to ask you, how does the Commission support this implementation? Like, what do we do in the Commission, like in concrete terms? Yeah.
Okay. So maybe with focus on the regional and local actors, I guess, because as you said, there is a lot of legislative work and there is a lot of work which concerns member states, and also working with international partners. So I think there are, again, three things I can mention. First is the unprecedented amount of financing which is available from EU funds, as we already mentioned before. Not only REPowerEU, but soon also the cohesion funding will be available. And this is especially important for energy efficiency, because on energy efficiency, to help people insulate their homes, we need grants. Yeah, and grants from EU budget are really unprecedented. We never had so much money for energy efficiency, for actual investments, but also for technical assistance, which is very important for cities and municipalities as well. So that I would say that's the first trend, the unprecedented financing, which of course allows you to design programs where citizens can apply for grants. And if this is means tested, the lowest income people can even get full financing for improvements on energy efficiency. So this is possible from the REPowerEU plans, and it will be also possible from cohesion funding. The second area, we are trying to speed up deployment, and this is especially relevant for renewables. Because of course, renewables, they don't need so much public finance. Renewables can be financed on a private basis. But the problem is, of course, the very slow permitting procedures. And so REPowerEU is working on that, both through legislative work, changes to the Renewables Directive, but also through other means. For example, we would like to start a partnership on skills to help public administrations train the workers so that they can actually handle the very complex permitting and environmental impact assessment procedures. So that's one of the areas. We of course work also on skills to train the workforce, which is of course to deploy this type of technologies, which of course is also a clear bottleneck. Then when it comes to permitting of big projects, as I said, work is done through legislation, so we are simplifying the Renewables Directive. We are also testing the so-called regulatory sandboxes, which of course it's something which applies more for innovative types of projects. So it's not useful for if you want to build a wind turbine by the village. But for more innovative projects, the idea is to kind of test and play a bit with the rules, meaning that we could maybe skip certain obligations for a limited period of time to test how new technologies could be deployed faster. That would be on permitting. Of course, there is also something that authorities can do themselves to help with REPowerEU. For example, if you can simplify urbanization requirements, permitting for citizens who want to install solar panels or who would like to insulate their houses. For example, the city of Brussels has done that this year to exempt this type of projects from urbanization permitting for individual citizens. That also helps. So of course, not everything comes only from the EU level, but there is also a lot that municipalities can do themselves within the limits, of course, what is possible. And then maybe last thing I would like to mention is the Covenant of Mayors Energy Savings Sprint, which is an idea pioneered by the Covenant of Mayors together with the Commission, where we are calling on cities to come up with their experience and best practices, how they save energy, and how you activate citizens to save energy. And we are collecting these examples, and we will continue collecting them until early next year, and then through the Covenant disseminate to other cities. because of course it's not always a simple way, a simple thing to save energy, because the cities also don't want to be seen as the one dealing with this kind of, but there's a bit of negativity around this, of course, and the politicians, they don't want to, and the same applies to cities. So if you have found good ways how to get citizens on board as a positive thing, because obviously it's something we all need to do, please share these examples with the Covenant of Mayors so that we can then disseminate them to other cities, and municipalities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, to have citizens on board is super important because we are Europe, indeed. It's about us. And also within the European Climate Pact, we want to share the good practices that you have, because this is the key to actually really implement the Green Deal on the ground. It's us that we implemented. We are the Green Deal. And my last question, you already explained it, but how does it contribute to the Paris Agreement? How does all this contribute that we really make it and we will become climate neutral by 2050?
Well, you know that Europe has ambitious targets for 2030, which is our contribution to the Paris Agreement, because with our 2030 target, we are kind of on step towards climate neutrality, and REPowerEU should speed up this effort. So we can expect that if we succeed, we will overshoot our target for 2030. So we will be even more on track with our climate commitments under the Paris Agreement. And maybe one comment here, because of course, very often we struggle that there were people who maybe felt that the climate objective is not sufficient for them to participate, but now we have a very strong additional argument for the Green Deal, which is security of supply. Yeah, so those people who might not believe in climate change or might not believe in all this, basically we also see that fossil fuels are not reliable from security of supply point of view. So there is absolutely no argument for Europe to continue with fossil fuels. So the argument for the implementation of the Paris Agreement has even strengthened in this current context. Although in the very short term, it might not look like that, where we are reactivating some coal power plants in a very near future, but we are talking about 1-2 years. We are not talking about changing our trajectory, which is very clear, and it became even stronger. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Adela. And now we are going to move to the beautiful part of rewarding the cities that share the good practices. And it was difficult to choose because we received really good projects. We know that many cities do amazing things. And at the end, we had to make choices. So I'll let Adela to announce the winners.
Okay, thank you. So this is the Covenant City in the Spotlight Award for 2022. And as Katarina said, there were many applicants. So the jury, which composes of Covenant of Mayors and the European Commission, would like now to give this award in 2 categories. One category is large city and one category is a medium city. So for the category of large city, I would like to announce that the winner is Lisbon. Why Lisbon? Because Lisbon has made major progress in both climate mitigation and climate adaptation actions. It has also submitted a very high quality application and obtained the highest overall score among all competing cities. In particular, the jury was very happy to see the participatory budget that Lisbon has to address climate and energy actions. Also, the measures that Lisbon has taken to cope with the energy crisis. And also because Lisbon has submitted actually good practices for the Covenant of Mayors Cities Energy Saving Sprint. So I would now like to welcome Catarina Freitas, who is the Municipal Director for Environment, Green Infrastructure, Climate and Energy of Lisbon. Catarina, the floor is yours. No. So this is the award.
Can I open it? No. Oh. Okay. Thank you so much.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, Katarina, come in and share, please.
Okay, so good morning to everyone. On behalf of the Mayor of Lisbon, Mr. Carlos Moedas, the former Innovation Commissioner, I would like to thank you for this Covenant of Mayors Award 2022, which recognizes the commitment and all the efforts done by Lisbon to become a sustainable, resilient, smart, livable, and climate neutral city. It has been a long and challenging road, and this award is really an incentive to keep us on going, particularly in these troubled times we are living in. For the worst reason we could ever imagine, Europe must reduce drastically the energy use and its dependence on fossil fuels by doing a major and massive effort to achieve its energy sovereignty. But cities are already paving that way, and we've just mentioned that, because they are really platforms of change. And Lisbon wants to be a front runner. This is why Lisbon was selected as one of the 100 cities in the EU mission, aiming to be a climate neutral and smart city by 2030. It's a huge responsibility that could only be embraced because of the political commitment of the present Mayor Carlos Moedas and the city government, and also for the previous work that Lisbon developed to improve energy and water efficiency, to mitigate carbon emissions, and to promote climate adaptation. Certainly that by signing the Covenant of Mayors in the old 2009, climate action in Lisbon gained momentum and a strong boost. In fact, the Covenant of Mayors European framework, namely its strict compliance process, encouraged cities to evolve and achieve very high standards for energy consumption and CO2 emissions inventories. Lisbon has now a climate action plan which targets climate neutrality by 2050, now anticipated to 2030. For that reason, Lisbon is redefining its strategy to increase the involvement of the community in this joint effort, and is setting up several measures to support the community on a fair energy transition. The first Citizen Council dedicated to climate change was launched. A kind of fund is being developed, a one-stop shop for energy advice, among other measures. Let me conclude by saying that this award is undoubtedly an added value to our ambitious strategy towards climate neutrality and its community process. We will do our best to honor it. Thank you so much for your attention.
Okay, and so now we have the medium city category, which is the last category we will be awarding today. And the prize, City in the Spotlight 2022, goes to the city of Lahti in Finland. And we have the mayor of Lahti here, Pekka Tinonen, who will get this prize. Why Lahti was awarded? Lahti achieved the highest performance in its climate mitigation progress, as well as presented best overall qualitative application among all the applicants. The jury was particularly impressed by the transversal governance in the implementation of the Sustainable Energy and Climate Action Plan in Lahti, as well as the involvement of local business in financing the climate actions in the city. So please, Mr. Mayor Pekka Timonen, sorry, who is our second winner.
So thank you for awarding us. It's always nice to receive awards, and always even better to know that behind every award there are great people and lots of work. So maybe I also put as the list my colleagues responded, show it. It looks also very nice. And bringing it back to Lahti, it also makes people happy because what the work they have done is noticed somewhere else. That's always very important. So thank you for that already. The story of Lahti is rather interesting. We represent the majority of Europeans. Most Europeans live in mid-sized cities. And also we believe if we have been able to do the things what we have done, all cities in Europe can. We are not the biggest, we are not the richest, we are not the most educated, and still we have already gone far. Last year, Lahti was the European Green Capital. We are also a mission city and also Green City Accord signatory from the beginning. And our ambitions for a long-term environmental targets and actions are already, it's a long story already. It started in 90s, late 80s, 90s, when the Lake Vesijärvi, where the city is located next to the lake, was the most polluted lake in Finland. And then people of the city said, this is enough. So everybody got their act together, businesses, academic institutions, people, and they decided to clean the lake. And today the lake is clean. We enjoy the water. The direct industrial area is nice, and now a nice harbor and a concert hall. So people of my city have a very concrete example how environmental actions not only make good numbers and other things, but they make your city better. And from that on, we have not stopped. We will become carbon neutral by 2025, one of the first cities anywhere. We are on that track, but it's going to be hard these last few years. We already have cut our emissions by 70%, so we have still the last bit to go. We also have decided to become waste-free by 2050, which is also a very hard target. But we believe that sustainable cities are and must be not only sustainable, but also better cities for everyone. So we are now receiving positive results. We have said goodbye to fossil fuels in our energy system, and today it means in today's Europe that our citizens are enjoying lower energy prices. Our businesses are investing to our city because they know that automatically their carbon footprint will be lower when they are putting their activities in my city. So it's not only a nice thing and important for the climate, it's also a good development policy for a city. So what are we doing now? We are moving forward, trying to reach that ambitious carbon neutral target. We are working with electric traffic, carbon neutral construction, planetary health, different things which makes the city better and helps us to move forward. And as already said here, to finalize, this is not possible if you are not joining your forces. We are working together with business who are having ambitious targets together with us, academic institutions, civil society, associations, and been very keen to have a shared goals, not that city have one goal and the businesses have another goal and then maybe academic institutions have a third goal, but discussing and having a dialogue where we all share our goals. Some organizations might have more ambitious than others, but we are moving together the same direction. So finally, we also have been communicating this to our citizens and everyone. Just to mention, we are home for the world's first carbon neutral symphony orchestra. We are home for the world's first carbon neutral professional sports team, our ice hockey team. And why I say this, even if we are here at the Covenant of Mayors, I have no illusions that when mayor says something, everybody believes. I don't have the illusion that even an expert says something, everybody believes. But when the most respected sports hero of your own city, captain of our biggest team, says, this is what I do, this is what we do together in our team, and you should do it too, it has a very powerful message to our citizens. It makes us as a normal city develop. So thank you for encouraging us. We will move forward, but we are not moving forward alone. We are moving forward with growing number of different cities in Europe. And you hope that you will someday, if you have anything else to do, please visit my city in southern Finland. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Adela. Thank you very much, Katarina and Pekka. I have to say that hearing one-stop shop, make it easy. And also I'm really inspired by all the actions, low energy prices, like this is going beyond the fear, because actually I think this is the fear to go for renewables. It will be more expensive, scarcity. So hearing good or lower prices, abundance. And also I am now curious about this ice hockey team, I come from the Czech Republic. I'm like, maybe that would work, like this local narrative, because also you mentioned the lake. So as soon as something is like important to me or important to local people, then like we can move, and we can work all together. So thank you very much. Thank you. Beautiful. And we go ahead with our session. So we have now the second panelist. I would like to introduce Gunnars. I hope I said it right. Gunnars Ansinch. Yeah. So Gunnars, he is the member of REPowerEU City Council, member of the European Committee of Regions, the Covenant signatory, and the Covenant ambassador for Latvia. And I have the first question here, so welcome. And immediately, what have local and regional actors done so far to support the REPowerEU? What's your experience?
Yeah, good morning, everyone who is listening us in the auditorium, but also in an online form. I would like just start with a very small introduction, because if I'm always asking, does somebody knows where is Liepaja? Always in a hall is just only one people, it's me. Therefore, I would like to say the city of Liepaja is the third biggest town in Latvia, in the Baltic states. And I'm privileged to be a mayor of the city. Of course, always it's a best question, what you raised, Katrina. But I'm trying to find the answer. I'm trying to find the answer how green is green, which I would like to say is a very important thing. And the second answer is always what we have to find is why we need this. For example, in city of Liepaja today, we are having the biggest number of reconstructed buildings in Latvia. And usually the people are saying, okay, we are saving money, but why? Why we need save money? Therefore, the city have to put something back. And for example, with the savings of money, what we are saving in our public infrastructure, like in schools, in kindergartens, in a concert hall, we have to put something back. And right now we are developing a park in the downtown of the city, highlighting, you see, we save energy, we save 32% CO2 emissions, and we are putting back to our inhabitants to provide more better life and quality of life for citizens. Of course, nowadays the savings is playing a little bit different thematics in this world. And each city have to understand what we can do. Because I heard Lisbon, in fact, did a lot. Is it possible to save something in Lisbon? Lahti is dreaming about climate neutral symphony orchestra. Unbelievable. But you can do more. And of course, each city is having the all unique choices. For example, in my town, we calculated what does it mean for inhabitants of the city, then the train or the tram in the city will run not every 7 minutes, but every 8. Does it make life a little bit different for our inhabitants? You have 1 minute sitting on a WhatsApp or Facebook. You are saving time. But at the same time, what we are saving one investment for one train or one tram, and we are saving money what we are spending during one day. Therefore, we may provide some additional things for our schools, additional things for our social departments. Of course, it's also important to save energy itself. For example, we was trying to also calculate what does it mean for my city, Liepaja, if, for example, in schools, we put 1 degree less during the winter time. We made calculation. Of course, the savings is, but it's very symbolic because we are already did investment in a city infrastructure. So, for example, during the evening times, there is no heat. There is not exactly no heat at all, but there is limited heat. Fridays evenings, Sunday mornings, the system is working, and the savings is almost 0.6%. It's not what we can say to our inhabitants. You have to go to the shower only on Fridays, but therefore we are not having enough. I would like to say savings. But what we did, we made some investigation. what does it mean for the city to change all lighting system? This is sound better, much more better, and we may save approximately €500,000 per month. It's a big money. And therefore, I would like to say the more responsible cities are calculating and answering the questions why we are doing, why we are investing, why we are saving. This, I would like to say, is the main topic for my city, and I think for cities in Europe.
Wow. Thank you very much, Gunnar. I'm inspired because it's this why, like where I feel there is lots of resistance. Why to do it? Now we have the prices, as also you mentioned, but like this why that goes for our planet. I'm very inspired. Can you maybe share also how this is going to, like how your city and you are going to lead on this path to achieve Paris Agreement?
I would like to say it's the same topic. We have to answer why and how. And from our perspective, we are, of course, changing all heating system in the city. Today, we are not so much like a colleague from Lahti was mentioning. You said 80%, no, 70%. You are saving. We are saving 46 today, but the aim is to finish in next year without oil and gas, and it means our city is concentrating on wood chips. And I don't know that somebody knows what does it mean, wood chips, but it's a wood product from the forest. In Liepāja case around the city, we do have quite a big number of forests, and it's possible to use in a very environmentally friendly way. And this is our way how we are willing to go forward with our investment, savings, and of course the best thing, and I would like to say the angel thing, is how to introduce those savings to inhabitants, because nobody are willing to save in generally. There is only 5% in the world people who believe in savings. You also do not like to go in a shower with 41 degrees. It's too hot. Yeah, and therefore I would like to say the biggest challenge for us is to exchange the knowledge and practice, what we did in city of Liepāja, what we did in Lahti, what we did in Lisbon, what we did in different parts of the cities in the world, and why we did that.
Thank you very much, Gunnar. Yeah, it's about sharing these good practices, so to get it really to mainstream. And I'm so happy that we are here with the Covenant. And I hope that we will support it more and more, because we are also accelerating this transition. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And now I would like to welcome our third panelist. So Juliet Domac, if I am saying it correctly. So you are the member of the Covenant Political Board, also the president of Federene, special advisor of the Croatian president, and director of the Northwest Croatia Regional Energy Agency. So welcome. Now, like with all these titles, I'm very curious also, like how do you see it in a holistic way in Croatia? And how can you, so what does it mean, REPowerEU at the local level? And how do you feel supported from the Commission, or yeah, how do you feel supported by REPower, and how do you implement it on the ground? What is your experience? What have you done so far? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, when we mention local and regional level, then we speak usually about, well, cities. Well, we heard the examples this morning, regions and their energy agencies, of course, well, working and were established both by cities and regions. And actually, the first regional energy agencies were established back in 70s as a response to energy crisis, and they are developing solutions since then. And well, having in mind what energy agencies and cities and regions, of course, are doing, I always like to ask when discussion like this started, if not regions and cities supported by their energy agencies, who will make REPower implemented and reality, then who else actually? And if not now, then when? So in reality, what we've seen all around Europe, we have actually all solutions needed. The question and the challenge now is how to upscale that solutions, which were developed during last decades, how to upscale them, how to transform them to a national or EU concept level, and how to replicate them. If we are speaking about topics, we could speak for a long time. So for example, we could speak about building renovation. We have solutions developed in Basque Country, in Rhône-Alpes region, in Tipperary in Ireland, how to renovate, how to speed up that process, how to address citizens and industry to one-stop shops, for example. If we are speaking about campaign, how to implement fuel switch, we have, campaigns which are implemented in Upper Austria, that Adieu Oil campaign, or Replace campaign implemented in Spain and Croatia. And many times we have situation that national governments have the program or proposal which are then better adjusted and polished by regions, cities and energy agencies. And they are the ones who actually do the job. And again, the mayor and then the presidents of the regions are usually in charge for heating the buildings, for heating the schools, for paying the bill for electricity and the gas and the heating or whatever. So they know how to do it. I think what we still need to do is share that knowledge, and this is why we are here partly during this week and last week, by the way, also here in Brussels, and to make that working concepts European reality. I think that's the challenge now.
Thank you. Thank you, Julia. And what would be the concrete actions? Like, what could you recommend to local or to regional energy or these one-stop shops or municipalities, like how to reduce the energy consumption? Is it about behavioral changes, or what is it really? It's a bit this what and why. So what would be the key recommendations?
Yeah, I think they know why. Well, you heard two mayors already. They know why and they know how. The challenge now, I think, is in communication. I think we as experts and they as mayors need to communicate to the people why this energy saving and this energy transformation, I would say, not any more energy transition needs to be done. So we need to tell our citizens and our entrepreneurs why that transformation is important and help them to do that. This is obviously, as I said at the introduction, it's not about energy, only about energy. It's about the future of EU and the future of the way of life and the way of and the society as we would like to have in Europe. And I think that communication and that clear message will be essential. We have technology, we have concepts which needs to be upscaled, but they are there. But that understanding and unique support from all stakeholders, this is going to be critical.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I hope that this energy sprint, the campaign, and like the whole concept also that we are extending the period and really gathering good practices that you share, that we would love to really share among also other cities, because I also feel that we are kind of staying in the bubble. So the challenge, at least for me, I think in the Commission, is how to go beyond the bubble, how to really encourage all to see this vision of better life, that it's not just fear and scarcity and the life is changing, and that always brings this challenge, but that there is maybe better future for all of us. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I'm happy to welcome our third panelist, Virginia. So Virginia Marco Cárcel. I'll read it correctly. So Director General for European Affairs in Castilla-La Mancha, member of the European Committee of the Regions, and the Covenant Coordinator. So now, Virginia, I imagine that you know also what's happening elsewhere, not only in Castilla-La Mancha. So I have the questions here. So how do you locally in Castilla-La Mancha support the uptake of the renewables? Yeah, how do you pass the message? What do you do? How you do it? And I'll go straight away with the second question, which is again like how this achievement of the REPowerEU, so the objectives of the REPower to reduce our dependence, how does it contribute, or how do you see the path, and like are you on the right track with the right speed to achieve Paris Agreement? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, first of all, and given the chance, I would love to bring Spanish to this panel. Así que muy buenos días y muchas gracias. Lo primero, enhorabuena también a los premiados. Sois un referente y también gracias y, en fin, es un honor compartir este panel y esta jornada. De hecho, bueno, hace muy poquitos meses que he sido nombrada embajadora española del Covenant of Mayors. Y para mí es realmente importante escucharos, compartir las buenas prácticas, que también es el objetivo de esta propia jornada, porque lo principal es el poder compartirlo, el poder colaborar, el hacer llegar a todos los alcaldes de los diferentes rincones, en este caso de España, de toda Europa, qué se está haciendo, por qué es tan beneficioso y por qué le va a llegar a su ciudadanía y cómo podemos pues, mejorar el planeta y eso al final que nos repercuta a todos. Sí, bueno, creo que se me ha escuchado. Of course. Sorry. Estaba comentando de cara a la traducción que para mí es un honor poder compartir las buenas prácticas, poder colaborar. Hace muy poquitos meses que he sido nombrada embajadora nacional del... What happens? ¿Ya? ¿Ya? Por eso creo que es fundamental el compartir buenas prácticas, estar a vuestra disposición y poder colaborar también para hacer llegar los beneficios y las buenas prácticas a todos los alcaldes y que al final la adhesión sea completa en la lucha contra el cambio climático dentro del Covenant of Mayors, que creo que es una gran iniciativa. La respuesta breve a las preguntas que me hacías es, bueno, ahora quiero hablar un poquito más de las buenas prácticas que estamos llevando, más en concreto también, pero sobre todo creo que el titular podría ser que en Castilla-La Mancha, ahora hablaremos un poquito más también de cómo es esta región, no solamente nos estamos sumando a estas grandes iniciativas, a la política energética que compartimos absolutamente con la Unión Europea, sino que hace muchos años, incluso antes de que estos objetivos ya estuviesen encima de la mesa, ya los estábamos cumpliendo. Hace muchos años que el compromiso con las energías renovables por parte de Castilla-La Mancha lo ha hecho que sea una de nuestras señas de identidad en el territorio nacional y europeo. Os contaré que Castilla-La Mancha es una región muy extensa, con 80.000 kilómetros cuadrados en todo el centro de España. Tenemos las llanuras, tenemos... Again. Sí. Todas aquellas personas que gestionan y que administran en sus territorios, que los recursos no son nada si no tienes el compromiso. En este caso, el compromiso también es absoluto, hasta el punto de que Castilla-La Mancha lidera en España la implantación de energías limpias en este último año. Prácticamente la mitad de toda la energía eólica producida en España viene de Castilla-La Mancha. Hemos sido también líderes en la implantación de energía solar. Y además creemos que es muy importante en la lucha contra el cambio climático y además cómo repercute beneficiosamente en la ciudadanía. Primero, porque lógicamente estamos salvando nuestro planeta, pero es que además se crean muchísimos empleos. Es una región eminentemente rural y en estos lugares, para que se hagan una idea, solamente en este año 2022 la inversión ha sido de 700 millones de euros creando 2.000 empleos en una población que es una población muy dispersa. Somos 2 millones de personas en un territorio que, como les digo, es muy amplio. Y en concreto, además de las energías renovables como la fotovoltaica o la solar, o la eólica, en las que estamos liderando su implantación, en concreto hay una energía que la Comisión Europea está fomentando especialmente, como es el hidrógeno verde. Y es aquí donde me gustaría contar una buena práctica que estamos llevando a cabo. Esto ya fue, como les decía, es una prioridad, un objetivo que ya venimos años cumpliendo. Fue en el año 2007, ya con cierta visión, cuando se conforma un consorcio público entre el Ministerio de Ciencia del Gobierno de España junto con el Gobierno de Castilla-La Mancha para crear el Centro Nacional de Experimentación de Tecnologías de Hidrógeno y Pilas de Combustible, que está en la ciudad de Puerto Llano. Pues bien, se trata de un centro de investigación de ámbito nacional, de investigación científica, sobre las tecnologías del hidrógeno, que está al servicio de toda la comunidad científica y tecnológica, pero también industrial y empresarial. Tiene gran prestigio no solamente en España, sino también en Europa, y de hecho colaboramos y seguramente con muchos de ustedes que están aquí y con sus estados. Tiene gran número también de colaboraciones con diferentes universidades, empresas, y cubre toda la cadena de valor del hidrógeno. Para que se hagan una idea, porque al final un compromiso, decíamos, los recursos no son nada sin compromiso y los compromisos nada sin un presupuesto. Pues para que se hagan una idea, hemos renovado este convenio por 10 años con un presupuesto de 28 millones de euros, aumentando, por supuesto, la plantilla y los objetivos. Sus principales objetivos son impulsar la tecnología, experimentar y validar prototipos, desarrollar todos los procesos y también homologar y verificar los componentes. Cuenta con 13 laboratorios, 5 instalaciones auxiliares, con el fin de producir, almacenar, transformar y, por supuesto, aplicar el hidrógeno. Como una gran oportunidad así en nuestro territorio, ¿cómo no íbamos a aprovecharla? Pues por parte del Gobierno regional hemos creado el clúster del hidrógeno verde, cuya sede, por supuesto, está dentro del Centro Nacional en la ciudad de Puerto Llano, con el fin de colaborar y reforzar su posicionamiento. El papel que tenemos como Gobierno regional, pues es aquello que está en nuestra mano como Gobierno, es actuar de agente dinamizador, impulsar, por supuesto, la actividad empresarial, que es clave para que desarrollen también y puedan aplicar estas energías renovables. También el Gobierno canalizamos todos los planes y programas que llegan, por supuesto, también con implantación europea, y colaborar con todo tipo de asociaciones, otro tipo de clústeres, como digo, pues no solamente en España, sino por supuesto en Europa y en el mundo. Los miembros que lo forman son actualmente 39 empresas e instituciones, por supuesto también contamos con la Universidad regional. Y, por supuesto, con empresas, conocerán algunas de ellas grandes, como son Iberdrola o Repsol. Con todas estas sinergias, pues, ¿qué acciones concretas adoptamos para impulsar las energías renovables, en concreto el hidrógeno? Pues por parte de nuestra comunidad autónoma, saben que España es un país muy descentralizado, donde las regiones tenemos buena parte de las competencias. Tenemos nuestro plan de recuperación regional, por supuesto, incardinado dentro del nacional. Y en este caso es una prioridad absoluta la implantación del hidrógeno verde como combustible renovable, y, por supuesto, se priorizan todos aquellos planes de reducir las emisiones. Y en concreto tenemos también un plan regional de energía renovable para aprovechar la experiencia que ya teníamos, como comentábamos, en energía fotovoltaica y eólica, pero también otros, como puede ser la biomasa. También contamos con un plan de movilidad. Al final hay que, lógicamente, atacar todos aquellos frentes más susceptibles, digamos, de producir la contaminación. En este caso, como digo, se ha desarrollado el plan de movilidad del servicio público basado en el hidrógeno, para fomentar la movilidad eléctrica en todo el territorio, que, como digo, es bastante amplio. Las principales líneas, lógicamente, pues desplegar los puntos de recarga por todo el territorio, o reducir las emisiones que producen las empresas, y, por supuesto, colaborando con ellas. También es muy importante, también lo comentaban los compañeros, la sensibilización. Estamos desarrollando también diferentes eventos y ferias. Recientemente, en septiembre, se ha celebrado el Revolution International Congress en Puerto Llano, precisamente para continuar fomentando estas sinergias, charlas divulgativas, compartir buenas prácticas. Y con todo esto, lo que tenemos hoy es que Castilla-La Mancha alberga la mayor planta de hidrógeno verde para uso industrial de toda Europa. Es en este caso de Iberdrola, de la compañía, que está, por supuesto, en Puerto Llano, donde contamos con el Centro Nacional, y sirve, aquí en este caso, el hidrógeno, que también es muy interesante para abastecer una fábrica de amoníacos. Con este caso se podrá reducir, se prevé, más de un 10% las necesidades de gas natural, y va a ser la primera compañía europea del sector que desarrolla a gran escala la generación de amoníaco verde. Este proyecto, además, incardinado en un proyecto, está incardinado en un proyecto europeo, ha sido incluido en el IPCEI, sus siglas en inglés, como el segundo proyecto importante de interés común europeo para apoyar la investigación y la innovación. Ah, ok. Bueno, 1 minute? Or less. Por supuesto. Bueno, se trata de integrar el hidrógeno, por supuesto, en procesos industriales, como decimos, para evitar esta contaminación. En resumen y como conclusión, estamos totalmente alineados con todas la política energética que ya tenía la Unión Europea en esta transición, por supuesto con el REPowerEU y bueno, además incluso cumpliendo por encima con los objetivos que se piden de producción de energías renovables.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Virginia. Thank you. Yeah, I think that this is very important, the green hydrogen, and to inspire also the project that it is bringing abundance of energy supplies for the region, but of course it can be scaled up. And also I really liked that you mentioned the industry, because I think that there is also this fear or challenge how to use renewables, like really to be in a secure way for not just homes, but really the industry, the production. And now we open the floor here in the room and also to people that follow us online. So now we are here to answer your questions. So I'm going to hand over to Julio, yeah, to moderate this Q&A.
Thank you very much. Hello again. We have some signs from Mariangela, sorry. There are no questions right now at the moment, but we might have some questions and comments maybe here from the room or well, even among the panelists. Do I see some questions here in the room?
Yeah, but
Hi, hello, can you hear? Good. Hi, so my name is Fausto Zacchero. I'm from Energy Cities and the Covenant of Mayors, and I'm responsible for the city's energy saving sprint. And I would like to ask Gunas questions because you framed energy savings not strictly related in a picture of energy crisis. So I would like to ask you whether do you see energy savings in a structural manner for the climate action of REPowerEU?
Yeah, I would like to say it's a very good question because we are trying to make reconstruction of a sector already starting with 2002. Of course, nowadays, if the energy prices for gas, for oil products is unbelievably high, as the speed of our investment of redevelopment sector is more active, like it was in previous year. For example, we made decision to go for wood chips segment already for next year. More than based on our calculation, we was planning to cut our gas balance for next year for 5%, but today aim is already 10%. Therefore, we are, I would like to say, moving forward more actively with investment in this particular sector. Of course, it very much depends on the price itself. But I would like to say also the rising payments for our households is also a little bit changing the mind of inhabitants. They're willing to save and pay less. Therefore, the renovation of buildings is more active in this period of time. Of course, we understand in Europe it's very important to deal with inflation questions, and the banks are adding additional payments for EURIBOR and for services of banks. It's a little bit making life complicated, but I would like to say it's a go step-by-step approach. For my city, energy saving is first priority, and we are doing that.
Thank you very much. Yes, please, from Lisbon.
Thank you. No, okay. Adela was mentioned that you are envisioning grants for investments that can be addressed by citizens. So have you already done some work on that? So design the program, I mean, the funds will be managed by the central governments, the regions, the cities. Can you please elaborate on that? Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to clarify what I have said, that the EU finance is available, especially for energy efficiency in enormous unheard of quantities through the recovery resilience plans in particular and cohesion funding. This money is disbursed based on national programming, national ways of doing things. But what I was saying is that if cities want to have support schemes for citizens, these national plans can be accessed to design such schemes and to provide very generous grants to citizens, which ideally, of course, should be means tested, so that the lower the income, the higher the amount of grant, so that also people with low income can participate in renovation of buildings. But this is a programming at national level or regional level through either the recovery plan, which is at national level, or the cohesion programming, which is regional or thematic, as always been the case. But we have never had so much money on energy efficiency as this current MFF. So it's really something to be tapped into by municipalities. Yeah, thank you.
Very good, thank you. Yeah, we have another question.
Yeah, I have a question for the whole panel. What kind of influence do you think the REPowerEU, but also just the energy crisis in general, will have on energy communities? So yeah, that's my question.
Thank you for this question. I think we see two trends these days. First trend is that with high energy prices, with energy being everywhere in the news, individuals are waking up are being interested. And we also see that member states who maybe have been in some cases quite reluctant to implement the regulatory framework for energy communities are also waking up, because this is clearly one way of how to get more affordable energy to people. And we have seen so many examples where this works. Yeah, so there is this positive trend, and I really hope that the crisis will we will be able to use it in this positive direction. So certainly much more interest than before from the policymakers, from citizens, and many more energy communities appearing, I would say, so there is this positive trend. There is, however, also some worrying trend, because of course, especially those energy communities that sell energy which they don't produce have been under strain with rising energy prices, because they are one of the suppliers on the market. And of course, not all of them were able to survive. So we also see that this is a bit negative trend of concentration on the retail market, where we see less suppliers. People maybe are scared and they are moving towards the big companies. So there are two trends happening. And so I think we are a bit at a breaking point. So the environment for energy communities should be more favorable as member states are more engaged in this topic and more interested. Potentially citizens are waking up. However, some negative trends as well, as the situation on the retail market is becoming very difficult for many suppliers, especially the small ones. Yeah, but I hope that the positive trend will prevail.
Yeah, thank you very much. I wanted to comment on that. Well, especially well in energy communities area, but in some other, I think there is a need to achieve some kind of standardization and more unique approach in member countries. Do you see any possibility how we can achieve that? Well, when we had that COVID crisis, we had that European Health Union which emerged from that. Is there any chance that we have a kind of a union of sustainable energy or something like that?
I think the crisis is certainly showing the case for an energy union in Europe, as we already have energy union, but with some gaps, and certainly at the macro level, there is a case for being stronger together also when negotiating with our international partners as suppliers of gas, for example. When it comes to all this bottom up, I'm not sure. I think we need certainly scope for citizens' engagement in all member states, and that is not yet the case. Yeah, we often hear that energy communities exist in spite of the legislative framework, rather thanks to it. So there is certainly scope for improving that and for fully implementing what we have in EU legislation, which is not yet the case. Yeah, but I think the kind of diversity is also nice. We always say that in principle, it doesn't have to be an energy community. It can be a collective self-consumption scheme, which is not a legal personality. It's a way for people in an apartment building to get together and produce renewable energy without requiring any legal personality. So I think we don't have any opinion, at least as a Commission, what type of scheme this needs to be, whether it's self-consumption, collective, individual, energy communities, whether these have to be cooperatives or something else. As long as these things happen, and I think we need to fully implement the EU legal framework to make it easier for people to come together and produce renewable energy together. Yeah, that would be my. Thank you.
Maybe our mayors here in the room can comment on that, and maybe you can tell us, well, how does it work in your cities? Yes, please.
Inhabitants of cities always are asking very simple questions. For example, does we have enough gas in the country for our industries, for our households? Sometimes it looks very simple question, but in practical world, everybody is a little bit afraid. Does our industry stops or not? If industries are stopping, it means you are losing some jobs in the cities, and you are a little bit in trouble. Of course, cities are connected very much For example, one part is produced in my city, another part is produced in your city, and your city. I would like to say we are very, very connected in this particular world. Therefore, I would like to say the simplest answers from the governments and from the countries have to be clear. Then we have or we do not have. Of course, if we see perspective of business development, of course, it's business opportunities for new companies, for companies who are already in a market. But at the same time, if we are comparing world-scale companies with Europe companies, we are, I would like to say, a little bit in troubles. The production capacities for windmills, for example, it's not which we can do in Germany or in Denmark with the leading countries today. Therefore, I would like to say we need also some additional support for industries who are in this segment to bring our industry more strong in Europe, to provide the basic services for solar panels, for wind energy, for new type of pilot projects, which your colleague from Spain was mentioning. This is what we need today.
Right. Thank you very much. But I would like maybe to go back a little bit to the citizens, energy communities, and citizens' perception of the situation. Maybe we can get a comment from Lahti or Lisbon, or from both, please.
So thank you. We are just actually just following my emails, and our city board, we have a system that's a city board, a small decision-making body for operative running of the city. And we accepted the energy savings program just 2 weeks ago, and now some additions to that. And I agree with the discussion here. It's all about how you communicate what you are doing, and also the impacts. Measuring the impacts of different actions is not that easy as we might think, because it's a systemic thing. But what we are saying locally, first, I just give an example. Like we say, saving energy is always good. It's not about this situation. But also we are not saving energy firstly to save money, but to save energy. It's also to save money, but the first step is that we need to save energy. And for example, I mentioned we in Czechs, we share the passion for ice hockey, but it consumes a lot of energy to make ice indoors, what we're doing. So one of the examples is that it's going to be very expensive. So we are doing measures to cut some use of energy in some sports facilities, which is the most difficult. Actually, one of the most difficult actions for citizens to accept that their children cannot play because we cannot put the ice on the rink. And we are still debating whether we're going to do that or not. But if the energy crisis gets more difficult, we have to do that. We just can't consume energy for stuff like that. But overall, the key thing which is accepted in our city is that we are not going back where we started. This is not temporary. Some of the measures are temporary, but the movement, what we do, is permanent. So saving energy is going to be permanently, has been and will be a clever move for everyone. And then the second thing what we need to do is actually do things to accelerate the change, what the city can do. And for example, giving permissions and building permissions and stuff like that, what the cities in Finland do. Solar panels, energy shifts, stuff like that on a local level. And I agree with my colleague from Liepaja, cities' work is always very concrete. It's not making policy papers. We do nothing. We need them too, but we need to put them in action because our citizens, they demand that, and our city politicians can't live with the declarations. They have to say what we do in our city and what impact does this have. And the impact question is a difficult one, because we can't actually always say when we do a thing, what is the impact in the end of the day, because it's very hard to measure. But overall, not saving energy because of money, even though we have to do that too, but saving energy because the key is to save energy.
Thank you. Yeah, just referring to your words, I had a professor at a university who would say the most expensive energy is that one that you don't have. Yeah. Lisbon, please.
Okay, I will ask a question to the audience. Can you guess how many energy communities we have in Portugal today? No, one. One. No, one is finished. So this is ridiculous because Portugal and Lisbon is one of the European sunniest capitals. So how come this happens? We have all the bylaws that allow us to create energy communities for the past 3 years, and it doesn't work. Okay. What we are doing is that let's keep engineers. I'm an engineer. And let's talk with lawyers because it's an administrative nightmare. So I kindly ask you to do all your positive influence in our national entities so that we can change this state of art. Okay, that's reality. It's not. And then I'm an optimistic person, but something really has to change. We don't have to spend 2 years trying to create an energy community. So we are spending a lot of money in a big, lawyer company, those that we see in, series on TV, just to make a roadmap that makes our national DG of energy confident to accept how to the procedures that need to be followed to create an energy community. Another topic that we didn't mention is, well, my good mayor of Lati was mentioned. We need to save energy. I think that we need to reduce also the use of energy in these times. And maybe we could share in the audience what everybody is doing to reduce energy. I'm optimistic, but we are really anxious on the next coming months and how our community, our economy will function with this scenery that is arriving to Europe. So I know that, and the Virginia, she mentioned a lot all these structural measures, but we also need these temporary measures, immediate measures, okay, that will be a little bit tough to our citizens and to our companies, etc. So can you address this topic as well? Thank you.
I totally share your point of view. Actually, I was remembering also that yesterday, for instance, we were talking to the Commissioner Smith regarding sustainable housing, and the comments in general were the same, like especially the administrations and governments regarding the implementation also of the recovery funds. We are really committed, we know what to do, but we also need more time. It's such a short time to implement all this money in all these measures and policies. And for instance, our citizens, I don't know if it's because in Spain we are suffering all these hot waves, maybe a bit more. We got like reached the 45 degrees, for instance, in my hometown. It's a lot. Maybe it's because of that also citizens are very committed, and they are also, even the citizens, I mean, together with administration, of course, we have to be all together. They are implementing all these solar panels, trying to achieve this high percentage of self-consumption. But even like that, it's been a hard time, and we were actually proposing that to the Commission. We've been told that it's very difficult for the Commission to give more time, and it's very tight. But if it's something so shared within all the citizens and administrations in the whole EU, and we are all committed, and the Commission is also, I believe, committed with these goals, I believe that this is something that they have to hear from very different points of view and very different corners all around the the EU, for instance, in our case, also in Spain and Castilla-La Mancha, in both administrations, because we also have legislative powers. We have modified the legislation to accelerate all the bureaucracy and all the papers to implement the funds, but still it is being difficult even with the funds and the commitment. We also need time and flexibility.
Yeah, please.
Just a short comment also that what we are now seeing is that, like every crisis, this is accelerating very many developments. Especially it's accelerating what the business sector do, because the money is the driver. And just give you an example, we opened last week third largest solar power station in our city, and it's a private investment for to give electricity for a factory. And they said that they calculated the payback time would be 10 years. During the investment, it changed so that now it's less than 3 years. So this is changing, and this will be, they would like to go back to unreliable. They will stick to this, and many of the other will do that. It's also accelerating the innovation. So different solutions and programs for people to control their use of energy and electricity will come very rapidly now. So I'm more worried about that we, the decision makers and public sector, that we lag behind. That's this kind of crisis accelerate and will do a very rapid changes, both on the business and innovation sector. And if we are not ready for that, we will lose this opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's very true. I think the essence is that we should not try to maintain or recover status quo. We should change, and that change will be forever. I would like, well, we are approaching the end of the event, so I would like to offer maybe a final comment or remark to Adela, Katarina, Gunas.
From my side, I think it's very important to exchange experience, to answer these main questions to our inhabitants, why we are politicians moving on one direction or another direction. Of course, like some of colleagues were already mentioning, you know, we may build a number of solar panels in the cities, but at the same time, the companies who are dealing with energy sector, who is keeping this electricity grids on a state level or in private level, also have to be ready. Because sometimes I have a feeling that there is number of examples in the countries when solar panels are willing inhabitants to invest and save money or save energy, like Mayor of Lahti was mentioning, but the state company is not ready to put in a grid those, I would like to say, free of charge energy resources. Therefore, I would like to say we need to have hand-in-hand discussion with the government, with the local governments, with regional governments, and of course, in a national level. And we have to break this platform. Spain is always the sunniest country in the world. Now the climate are changing, and also my country is becoming warmer and warmer. Therefore, I would like to say we have to work together.
Thank you. Would you like to add something?
I would just like to thank everyone, because for me it's very, very kind of inspiring to be able to listen to mayors and people who come from cities, because you really look at things in the holistic way. So you mentioned all the possible angles we need to keep in mind when doing policy. So that's always for me very privileged to be able to, to hear how you do things in practice. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I would also like to bring gratitude and express the gratitude for today. Because I'm working with the Covenant, with the European Climate Pact, but also legislation. And it's always so nice to really feel real people, because you're on the ground. It feels like, oh, it's happening. So Yeah, thank you for sharing. And I feel like what my key takeaway is to reinforce even more and go even further, like sharing these good practices, but in a way that maybe it's not just a library of good practices, but really like somehow maybe like open the door of other cities and just, I don't know, co-create together, or yeah, how to really engage citizens, because I think that also this communication top down, you know, and that people will open the mouth and we will just throw something. I'm talking about Brussels a lot now. I see that it doesn't work. So it's also a challenge, and I'm happy that you share the challenges, like what you do, but like why you do it. So people feel included, people understand what's happening, and okay, we are making all changes, but understanding why and how this will improve my life, I think that it brings some more hope and courage. Yeah, thank you. Thank you all.
Well, in my case, there's nothing else to add better, but I would like to say that maybe we are now facing a lot of challenges and threats, not only the climate change, but also an energy crisis because of a terrible war. But at the same time, we are at this breaking point when we're also having a lot of ideas. We have all these initiatives, as we were saying before, when the Commission is very close to the citizens, to the people, to their needs. And I believe that it also brings, I was also about to say the same word, hope. It brings a lot of hope. We know how to do it. And now we are at this point when we are doing all this road all together with all these ideas, all these good practices, and all these initiatives from the Commission and the funds, which is also extremely important to have the resources. So yeah, I would like to finish with this word. We have this hope, and I really believe that we will do all that together. And yeah.
Thank you very much, colleagues, panelists, all you in the room, and all colleagues listening to us online. Sorry that it didn't work perfectly with the quick questions. We'll conclude now with a special thanks to our mayors, of course, people working in regions and energy agencies who are actually making this REPowerEU possible and implemented. Without you, it wouldn't be possible, of course. And with that, well, message of hope and optimism and awareness that this is not about maintaining or going back to the status quo or to the situation as it was before. We'll conclude the session, and I hope to see you again soon. Thank you. Thank you. It's lovely to see you. Meeting.